Good afternoon. We're here with Stephanie Colter with men's and women's track and field. Stephanie, thank you for being a part of Rattler Tales. First and foremost, why FAMU?
Ooh, that's a loaded question. I will be completely honest. I was not planning on going to FAMU originally. I actually had signed to go and compete at TCU. And the coach that was coaching there actually ended up leaving right before my season started. They gave me the opportunity to renege, and I decided to. FAMU was actually at a church conference that I went to, and I had also competed in front of the track and field coach and spoken to her prior to. So I reached back out, saw if they were still interested, and at the church conference they ended up giving me a full ride academic scholarship. So ended up coming out here with a full ride academic and eventually an athletic scholarship as well.
Now, when you were talking with TCU, did you know Coach Dawson prior to making that transition here to FAMU?
So I am actually older than I look. I competed from 2009 to 2013. So believe it or not, if I would have been at TCU, I would have actually been competing with Coach Dawson. But the coach back then was actually Coach Malone. But believe it or not, it was actually Coach Darlene Moore's first recruiting class. So.
Wow, that is something special right there. Talk a little bit about your experiences while you were at FAMU.
Ooh, there's so many, it's hard to really know where to begin. From being a member of this track and field team, so I came on as a walk-on. And then eventually ended up with a full ride athletic scholarship on top of the academic scholarship that I had. And from my second semester as a freshman on through my senior year, I was actually the captain of the women's track and field team. Outside of track and field, I participated in a plethora of clubs and organizations. Most people on campus know me for one of my biggest organizations, which is Faces Modeling Troupe Incorporated. I've been a long-standing member and active member of everything that they kind of have going on. So throughout my matriculation of FAM, I've had some amazing experiences, not just with athletics, but also in dual majoring. So I actually ended up with 2 undergraduate degrees in both criminal justice and psychology. And being a part of the different groups and orgs that were kind of within those majors kind of just helped to make me make more decisions outside of FAM that helped in the long run for everything that I was planning on doing. So.
Talk a little bit about making those decisions. I mean, you graduated from FAMU, and then you moved on to a little bit bigger and better things.
Something like that. So, shame on me, but I did cross the tracks. So what's really cool is the NCAA actually gave me a scholarship my senior year, the Women in Minority Sports Scholarship, and they paid for me to get my master's. So after I finished at FAM, I actually crossed over the tracks, went to FSU and got my master's in sports exercise psychology. But there's nothing like home. So after I finished that master's degree, I did end up coming back to FAM, and I'm actually currently finishing my doctorate in biostatistics and epidemiology. So
now with that, you finishing up, talk a little bit about everything that is going on currently in the world with this pandemic.
Yeah, so the COVID-19 pandemic, which is obviously huge right now, but luckily I had the opportunity, or Department of Health actually reached out to the Institute of Public Health, which is where I'm getting my doctorate. And they were looking for some epidemiologist students that were kind of on the ends of kind of being done with their degrees that could kind of assist with some research and things of that nature for COVID-19. So I was actually one of those students that was selected, and I am currently working at the Department of Health as a biological scientist in assistance with some of the efforts that we're making against COVID-19.
Flashback a little bit, what was your favorite athletic memory when attending FAMU?
Whew, that is hard. So back in the day when we were competing, we were like really, really close-knit. So football players were super close with the track team, softball team, all of the above. I would say some of my greatest memories would be at football games. We'd all sit together. Sometimes we'd even paint ourselves to match up, and support them as much as possible. And so then whenever we had our meet, our family relays, they'd all come out and support us as well. So I would say, just the camaraderie that we had as athletes back then would probably be one of my best memories.
And lastly, what is any words of advice that you might want to give to whether it's an aspiring student athlete or just somebody in the community?
For me, I would say the biggest thing that I did that was super beneficial was just kind of using my resources. And I say that in an aspect of, as a student athlete, you've got a lot of kind of networking that's afforded to you. And a lot of times, also as a student athlete, we kind of just focus on the sport aspect of it and not really what we're going to do after we graduate. I think what's really important is finding what your niche is, figuring out what you're interested in, and finding a way to kind of get yourself involved in those aspects prior to that graduation date. A lot of the opportunities that I got, a lot of the scholarships that I got were simply because I networked outside of just athletics. And I think that can be applied to anything, you know, and applied to any student here at Florida A&M University. Is just kind of reach out and go beyond what's expected of you, because although it may be a lot of work at that time, a lot of times it prepares you to be successful in the future.